is my distinct honor and privilege today to have an opportunity to introduce our keynote speaker. Kathryn McCarthy is currently the CEO of GeekNet, the parent company of ThinkGeek and ThinkGeek Solutions. She was CEO of GeekNet, a publicly traded company, since March 2013 and was named chairman of the board in July of 2013. During her tenure, she has led efforts to increase brand awareness, expand exclusive product offerings, improve the e-commerce experience, and reach new customer channels. In June of 2015, GameStop Corp., a family of specialty retail brands that makes the most popular technologies affordable and simple, and GeekNet announced a merger agreement, and the transaction concluded in July of 2015. Prior to her promotion of CEO, Ms. McCarthy served as an Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. Ms. McCarthy previously spent 18 years at General Electric as Vice President and CFO of GE Healthcare in London, and she contributed to delivering global growth, reducing costs, and supporting mergers and acquisitions and integration activities. Previously, she was CFO of GE Transportation Systems and held leadership positions within GE Plastics in Europe and in the United States. We're looking forward to hearing Katie speak today about content marketing and about her journey. Please join me in welcoming Katie to the stage. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I know everyone's probably tired. It's morning, it's college. I think I remember those days. So we're going to start with a video. And then I really want to keep this interactive today. So I don't want to just sit here and talk about PowerPoints. If we can keep it interactive, I'll ask you questions and you'll ask me questions. I don't know if I have the great story, but I certainly have, I think, some examples of what we're trying to do at ThinkGeek. Okay, so before we go any further, I want to ask a question. I want you to be honest with me. How many people knew about ThinkGeek before I came here? Okay, we're doing okay, but it sounds like we need to do a better job marketing. So that's the whole point of join in and geek out. So what this video represents isn't marketing a product. It's to try to share our lifestyle. That is our office. Those are our employees, and we're using it to form an emotional connection with our fans. And I will talk more about that today. Does anyone know where ThinkGeek's office headquarters is located? Yes? Fairfax. Yes, we are right up the road on Waples Mill Road in Fairfax. A lot of people who even are our fans in Northern Virginia don't know that. So I think it's you got a sneak peek at what it's like to work at ThinkGeek. I got it. Okay, technology company. Okay, so I'll get started. Really briefly, want to talk about the background of our company. We are an e-commerce company that started in 1999, which makes us an old e-commerce company that's still around. Part of the reason we're still around is that we went public in the year 2000, which many of you are too young to remember, but it was the dot-com bubble, the dot-com boom before the bust. So we were lucky enough to go public before the bust, and that helped us finance growth over the next several years. So what do? We design and develop and market our exclusive products under certain licenses and our own unique products, and source some 30 products and sell them on ThinkGeek.com. We also sell them to big box retailers such as Toys R Us, Walmart, Target, Urban Outfitters, and many other specialty retailers. We are in a wide variety of product categories, which makes us a somewhat unique company. We do everything from apparel to electronics to what we call license and collectibles. And before I forget, and if some of you have to leave for class, I do have some freebies outside, and first come, first serve. Take one and share with all of your friends and classmates. So what is our vision? Our vision is to create a world where everyone can embrace their inner geek, express their passions, and connect with one another. Not everyone has the same passion. I was asked an interview question this morning about what is a geek, and we'd like to think you can geek out about anything you're passionate about. So it's a wide universe of people we're trying to reach. Not everyone loves Star Wars, but some people really get excited about the trailer they saw yesterday about the movie that's coming out. Others might feel really passionate about video games, or they might like cooking, which I'll get to in a little bit. So there are a lot of different ways you can geek out. And then we talk about the mission. We think there is an inner geek in everybody. I think that everybody has a passion, and they love to have something that represents the thing they like to do. So whether it's the hobby that they do on the weekends or something they do with their friends or their family. And these are just a few more of our products. I want to give everybody a flavor for the type of things that we do. Obviously, Star Wars is big right now, so there's a few more Star Wars than usual coming out this year, given the Force Awakens premiere in December. So before I go on, does anybody have questions about the company? Anything I can answer for you about the company? And don't be shy. Yes? So just make sure everyone can hear the question. Do the Star Wars slippers make Darth Vader sounds? I believe that they do. I'm going to have to double check with our Geek Labs creator, because those have not come out yet. They're new products that are launching for the holiday season, and that is upon us. So right now, as a retailer, and particularly because our company is very much a destination for gifts, we do the majority of our business between Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and the shipping cutoff before the holidays. So a lot of new product will be launching in the next month. Yes. Yes. That's a good question. So how big is the company? We have, our headquarters is in Fairfax. Long story, but it used to be in California. We did have a business that was another segment that was a media business segment that we sold in 2012. When I came on in 2011, we moved the headquarters to Fairfax because that's where the growth was and where the majority of our employees were. We acquired a company in Denver last year, and so we have an office in Denver that has about 20 people. What they do is close to video game people who are gamers. They run official stores for video game publishers and create product associated with those video games, apparel and collectibles. So now we're bigger, as Carolyn mentioned in her intro, we're part of GameStop. So we merged with GameStop in July. And the reason for that is because GameStop is diversifying their portfolio and looking to reach out into different customer segments, and collectibles is one of the ones that we brought to them. So they've bought some technology brands, and they also bought us as a retailer because we have a lot of things in common with video games and passionate fans. Blue shirt in the back row. Very good question. Do we outsource distribution? The answer is yes. We had outsourced back when the company was small, and this is actually an interesting thing about being in e-commerce and why a lot of companies only get to grow to $50 million or so before they have challenges. When the company started, it was, pick and pack it ourselves. And obviously we outgrew that. So by the time I joined in 2011, we'd grown to 75 million in revenue or so. The year before that, they had to go with a bigger third-party provider in Columbus, Ohio. And we're with them now. Interesting, we're at the end of our agreement coming up, and now we're part of the bigger GameStop, so big decisions need to be made in the next few months. Yes?
Well, I have a question. So when was your company created or launched, and how was the company developed?
So the company was founded in August of 1999. So we had our sweet 16th birthday this year. It was created by people who were really in on the beginnings of the internet, and I know that sounds like a long time ago to many of you, but they were part of a crowd that was in the Dulles corridor. So out near Dulles, there were a lot of startups at the time. A lot of people, everyone thinks about Silicon Valley because that's where a lot of the really big ones, but there were also people here. And what their dream was to find a company that appealed to people who loved technology, who loved things geeky, and really did what we did today. In the beginning, however, they needed to do some things to make some money. So what that was at the time, and this is going to sound like old technology, they sold dial-up modems. They sold cables for the internet to eventually get to the point of creating and developing our own products. So everything, and I'll talk about that later, sometimes you've got to start small to get to where you want to be. Over here in the nice tie.
What was ThinkGeek's biggest challenge when it started?
Well, I can say I was not here for when the company started, but what I would say is the biggest challenge for any startup company is you need to have that creative entrepreneurial spirit and great products, but you also have to make money. And in e-commerce, that's challenging. And this is where we're going to get into content marketing, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this and why content marketing is very important to our company. Because we were and now are part of a public company. We were a standalone small public company who, last year we did about 140 million in revenue. We didn't have the budget to have a Super Bowl ad that Gary talked about earlier. So I'm going to talk about what we did. I'll take one more question, and then I'm going to keep going right over here in the gray sweater.
So I understand that there's also a shop that is open or in Florida.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, one of the exciting things about being part of a bigger company now is we have access to retail in the mall, and we just opened up a ThinkGeek store in Orlando last month, and it's doing really well, and they're hopefully, and I have nothing to say because we're a public company, but hopefully it will do well and there will be more to come. So that's exciting for our brand. So I'm going to keep going. I noted who asked questions, and we'll make sure we get to you. So one of the ways we can tell a story is by having our product placed in something that's popular. And this is not something that's necessarily easy. What we do is we'll send samples of a product, particularly when the holidays approach, to different to different places. Like the Today Show has a segment on geeky products. We don't know if we're going to get on. We don't know if we're ever going to see the light of day on that show, but we need to be on top of it. We sent this huge beach ball to David Letterman when he was still on before Colbert, and all of a sudden the beach ball's on his show and he's using it and doing it. We have a product called the Annoyatron, which if you want to annoy anyone in the dorm, or if you have a workplace, you hide it and it makes certain noises. Well, that ended up getting on NCIS, and NCIS's ratings are through the roof, so then we sold out of the Annoyatron. So my point is, this isn't traditional advertising. We're in some cases soliciting it. In many ways, we're not. People are just deciding to show it, but when they do, we try to take advantage of that through social media and other means. We were really early into social media. We had to be. As I mentioned, we didn't have the marketing budget. So for a company our size, we have a very large amount of Twitter and Facebook followers and fans. So we have over 1.1 million on Facebook. We have 1 million loops on Vine this year. We have over 50,000 followers watching videos that, some of which aren't really about product. Some are. YouTube, which is a video you saw earlier, we have 120 million lifetime views and 170,000 subscribers. The big challenge here for us, and I think any company like ours where you're trying to make sure you're being authentic, is we are trying to provide content that's entertaining for our fans. But we want to sell product too. So we don't want to appear like we're basically being overly aggressive in putting the product in your face, but we're celebrating what the company is, and we're giving people examples of things they might want to buy. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, and where that's a real balance for us is on Facebook. And then I'm sure people are saying, because I know like my daughter is 16, and she's like Snapchat and not Facebook, because Facebook is people like me. But the other challenge for us is we want to reach people like you, but we also want to reach moms and dads and aunts and uncles and grandparents who might be the ones buying the gifts at the holiday time or for birthdays, graduations, and other celebrations. Okay, so this is an example of content on Facebook. So every day on Facebook, we're posting, and this isn't really doing anything with product. This is something we do frequently, which is Today in Geek History. And our fans love it. You can see, it's small, but you can see it had over 18,000 likes. And basically, we're just talking about something that happened. Jim Henson, who, many of us remember as the person who, for older people here, Sesame Street and the Muppets, and now the Muppets are back. This has nothing to do with anything we sell. This is just to engage our fans, to make sure they're keeping up with the content we have on Facebook. But then we might change it up a few days later, and we've got the Death Star cookie jar. So it's cool, it's interesting, and we want you to buy this. So it's a dance, it's a bit of a dance on Facebook. We don't want to be doing this every day. So we'll have posts that have absolutely nothing to do with selling product. But then when we think something's cool and we want our fans to know about it and it's launching, we'll tell them about it in terms of in this case, Death Star cookie jar. Okay, so before I go on, does anybody have questions about what we do in Facebook? And I'm going to talk about some other forms of social media. It is because and many basically now with Facebook let me talk about Facebook in two ways, okay? This is a good question. When we started on Facebook, everything was free. So we have our followers and it was free. And Facebook at that time, if you liked something that was, you liked something or shared it, would share it with all of your friends. Well, Facebook went public and needed to make money. So a few years ago, they made some changes in that, and that it won't, if you like something, it won't necessarily tell everyone unless you scroll like way down to the bottom of your news feed. So in addition to social media and content sharing like this, we also have to do some advertising on Facebook, targeting certain segments, such as people who are going to give gifts. So our Facebook strategy has evolved as Facebook has made changes. And unfortunately, that's just a little bit more expensive doing that advertising than it was when everything was free, but every company's facing that. Facebook makes changes and Google makes changes, and we have to adapt. Yes, in the back. So the first question is, what is most effective for us? First, I'd say, start by saying we have to be everywhere. So I think I mentioned the different demographics earlier. So we can't afford to not be, we're just starting up in Snapchat, Instagram, and I know we need to be there because there's a younger demographic there. But we really have to be everywhere. Today, I would say Facebook and Twitter, just because we have the sheer number of followers that we have and the reach we can achieve there. But who knows what it will be in a year from now. And I'm sorry, I forgot the second question. It really depends. So again, I'd say you have to do everything. Something random could happen, and all of a sudden we'll have a flood of traffic to our site, and I'll give you an example. So I haven't talked about blogs yet, but we have our own blog, but we also try to get picked up by bloggers because that's also less expensive than traditional advertising. And paid search, which we do spend money on for e-commerce, has become increasingly expensive. So bloggers, if you can get to bloggers and get your product featured, it's great. Sometimes we don't solicit it. So last year on Cyber Monday, busiest day of the year, busiest traffic day, we spend all year long making sure our site can handle the ramp up of the visitors that flood in on Cyber Monday. Well, what we didn't anticipate was there is a blog, and I'm not going to say the word, it's I effing love science, if anyone knows that. Okay, you do? People know that? Okay. They posted a product called planetary shot glasses. And there are the planets, and so it's one of those things we just had no idea. So in a span of 10 minutes of that post, we had load tested the traffic to go 50% higher than the biggest day of the year on that day. When that happened, in those 10 minutes, it went to 75% of anything we had seen the whole year, and it slowed the site down, which is really bad on Cyber Monday. So the good news is we learned how important that blog is, and we learned a lesson that this year we tested to like 150x of what could happen. So anything can turn out to be critical for you is what we've learned. So I'm going to keep going, and then we'll take some more questions, because I want to make sure we get to some of the other forms. So YouTube, did anyone play Minecraft? Does anyone play Minecraft? Okay. So Minecraft's been an incredibly popular game. With the kids, we have the license with Minecraft. We were in on that very early. So we create products that are very popular, particularly with younger kids. There's some role play items from the game. This is a guy called Ant Venom. I never heard of Ant Venom, but he's incredibly popular, as you can see by his followers. And people actually do videos on YouTube about playing video games, telling people the secrets of Minecraft. My nephew, who is 10 years old, watches these videos, as do other sons and daughters of people at work. Whether that's the most productive use of time, I'm not sure. But by placing product on Ant Venom's YouTube show, we were able to generate, and doing a promotion, we were able to generate more visitors to our site and more views. So that was one example of where we just became content in his show. Another example of that, totally different passion, is people who like cooking. And there's people with shows that, some of us see the traditional ones on TV, but on YouTube there are shows, and Megan Camarena That's her handle there. She has, I think, over 800K followers, and she did a show where she used our product, our Star Wars product, and then our Doctor Who product in 2 separate recipes that she was making on her show. So another way to reach that audience that we desire, because we do have a lot of home and cooking products that we want people to buy. And by the way, Megan's a lot less expensive. Megan didn't do this one for free, but Megan's a lot less expensive than some of the personalities we looked into on YouTube, where I was like literally floored by what they wanted to charge for one. So some of these people have created a very successful business model for themselves. This is on YouTube as well. This is called an unboxing. This is a company, IGN. They did an unboxing, which is basically people watch them unbox a product for several minutes. And this was our flux capacitor from Back to the Future wristwatch and car charger. And this generated several different views and got us attention for those products, which have done very, very well. Okay, I'm going to stop because so I went through Facebook and YouTube and how we're using content and doing some marketing. And I know we might have some of the questions on that or other unrelated questions. Yes.
It's striking the balance between the engaging social media posts and the Death Star jar type posts. Are those decisions kind of intuition based, or are they data based?
Both. I think that's a good question. Are they intuition based or are they data based? I think Gary was talking about this. We do both. We have to use the data we have, and we have a lot of it. So we know from the past what works. And we can also look when we do something and immediately learn how many people, if it's an email, for example, how many people opened it? How many people clicked through to actually see some content? How many of those people actually made it to the cart? And how many people checked out? So we can use a lot of data, and we have someone whose job is marketing analytics. They look at all of that. We know from the likes and the engagement that we see on some of these. In my case, I do trust our people. I think that's a really important point, because the people who are closest to it know what works and what doesn't work with the fan base. So if I think it's a great idea because we need more sales, so I want you to increase the number of Facebook posts about product this week. Our social media marketing team may push back on me and say, Katie, I hear what you're saying, but one good one may go a lot longer way, and too many may really hurt our authenticity with our fans. So I think you have to use data and intuition, and you also have to trust the people who are closest to it. Other questions? Yes, in the back. So, good question. The question is why are we choosing to try to feature products on someone else's channel versus just doing it on our own site or on our own channel? Really, it is to increase our reach, to try to get more people who maybe don't know ThinkGeek, but they learn about it and then direct to our site. So it's faster. So we could build our own. We could do what those two guys are doing right there. We definitely could. However, the number of viewers they have today is so much more. It's going to take us longer to get there. So we have to balance that. It's a really good question about, do you own the content and only direct them to your site, or do you try to bring them somewhere else and then get them to come back to your site? And now we're doing more of that with GameStop. So we're having some things in their stores where it'll be a coupon for ThinkGeek.com, trying to reach out to a broader audience to get them to come back and come to ThinkGeek.com. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So I don't expect people to read all the fine print, but this is another example of engagement. And we want to create content that engages our fans and makes them feel part of the company, but also ultimately might result in them buying something. So what we did on Facebook is we do some polls, And this poll was, okay, here's 4 products. Which one do you pick? Do you vote to go 50% or 40% off this Friday? And I'm making the probably doesn't say this Friday. So you have 24 hours. We'll collect the votes, and whatever you all of our followers pick, we will put on sale. And Mega Man, the Buster Gun won. And the sales of the Buster Gun, again, looking at the data, did really well that week, and we have the margin to be able to afford that. And Harry Potter, these others did well too. So it drew attention to the product, but it made people feel part of something and created that connection. Yes, in the back. That gun is cosplay. We have a few other things, though, if you're interested. Yes? Yeah, the question is, are these flash sales more successful or more necessary when we're in a less busy time of the year? The answer is yes. We use that to engage people when it's not as busy, there's not as much going on. We try to use the flash sale judiciously. We don't do it as much as some sites because there are a lot of flash sale sites that if that's all they do, it doesn't become exciting anymore. So we try to keep it as it's exciting or it's new or it's different because again, that has to give somebody a reason to look at the Facebook post, to open their email, to engage in some way. So we find mixing it up is really important in terms of how we do these things. But we also want to use what works. And so if people like being part of a poll, great, we'll do more polls. I think that's great. We probably won't do it right on Cyber Monday or on Black Friday because there's too many other things to do those days. And we will certainly have sales those days, but we won't be necessarily doing the poll that day because we already have a lot of traffic. Okay, here's another example as a contest is content. So this was, we ran a contest in social media and on our site for the geekiest college campus last year. And I'm sorry that you guys didn't win, but maybe we'll do it again and you'll have a great opportunity because that way we will come visit down the street and give you all the awards instead of going to Rochester, where RIT actually was the winner. And this is a picture from the visit there to award them Geekiest College Campus. But this is where we did a press release. That was a fun press release. It was just all about the Geekiest College Campus, and it got people excited. And we love college students, so this was just a lot of fun for us. And we have to do some more boring stuff too, but again, free. This was free. So created the opportunity, or we were given the opportunity to go on a business show. So I went on Taking Stock with Pim Fox, which I'm sure most people here don't watch, but if you have ever seen it, it's on Bloomberg TV. And the point of this was really to showcase products. So he ended up putting a little table together of products, and he asked me a lot of business questions, but the intent of this was, you called it the business of geek, was to reach, again, that gift-giving audience. It might even be somebody's grandparents that are looking for a cool gift for someone for their birthday, to reach different demographics. And then we did some things locally as well to generate interest in the company. So I'm not going to do the career advice yet. I felt like there were more questions out there about anything. So to wrap it up, though, on the content marketing, I don't know if all of this content meets the definition of good, but I do think that, at least for us, it's generated a lot of interest and attention from our fans. So I'll go through this and take a couple more questions, because I know we have a panel to do too. So this is probably going to sound like, I don't know, a little cliche, so please forgive me. But I'm going to try my best ways to sum up like my top 10 of some advice, and we can talk more about it after at the career speed dating or whatever we're calling it. Okay, the first thing is people ask me a lot is be good at something. That sounds very simple, but what I mean by that is particularly in the first 10 years of your career, it's really important to build some depth in something, to show a consistent pattern. For some, it may be communications, it may be PR. For me, it was finance. I didn't know that, I probably did know that I didn't want to just do finance forever, but I needed to be good at something so I could get exposure to other things and learn. So getting some depth, and it's easier if you're passionate about it. And that doesn't mean you'll be passionate about every task you do at work. It's hard to get passionate about Excel spreadsheets per se, but if what you're doing in the Excel spreadsheet is important to the marketing leader who's going to make a decision, that's an interesting and fun thing to do based on your work. Be the one everyone wants on a team. Be the person people like to work with. It sounds very, very simple, but it's so important. It will be the difference. Never stop. This is particularly for older people like me. You have to embrace change. You have to drive change. Things change a lot. In a span of 5 years I've been at this company, e-commerce has changed dramatically. And it's going to continue to do so, and so is marketing. Be positive and optimistic. I have to remind people of this some days. Some days are not all going to be great, but in general, you want to be positive and optimistic, but you also need to have a backup plan. You can be too positive and too optimistic, and you don't have a plan B. Yesterday, we just had to make a decision to implement a plan B, because plan A is not ready for the holidays, and you know what? Plan B is going to be fine because we worked on it. Think globally. This is a great place to do that and really seize the opportunity to experience different cultures. That doesn't mean you have to travel the world. If you get the opportunity, great. It could also be with people in your own university who come from different places. I'm sure you've heard this and are working on it diligently. You have to always try to improve your communication skills. And adults that are 20, 30 years into their career can do this too. A good idea may never see the light of day if you can't communicate it. And that means the verbal and the written form. And sometimes the way we communicate today maybe makes us not as good at this. So we have to keep working on it. The way we communicate in text doesn't necessarily prepare you to communicate an idea you want to sell. To that point, don't email, post, tweet, blog, do any of those things when you are angry. I'm sure you've been told, don't do it. Whether it's even in your social life or in your family life or in your professional life. And in your professional life, it can get you in a lot of trouble. And having worked for a public company and seeing investigations that have happened, I can assure you, don't do this. It's not a good idea. Be a good listener. I think we've all been told that. It really matters. And realize you're going to need to pay your dues. There is no easy way to what you want. Even if your bosses seem like they're idiots, they likely sacrifice something to achieve their position. And if they're not, that good, eventually it will be found out. Don't worry about everybody else. This is in your class, in your work, in your life. Do your job, and good things will happen. I still hear today, well, so-and-so's I don't want to, these are people in their 40s talking about so-and-so. I don't want to hear about so-and-so. I want to hear about what are your deliverables and how did it go and are you on track? Have fun. Have fun. On balance. Not every day is going to be fun. Celebrate when you've had a success, and that's true in your academic career as well. But you have to be resilient. There are going to be losses and setbacks, and you have to learn from them. You actually learn more from those than from the things that go well. You can trust me on that. So I think I'm probably out of time. Am I out of time, Tara? Okay, so get this. We have a panel. We're going to have opportunity for questions after. I really appreciate your attention. Thank you for being great hosts today.